Hello, Tim Dalton here with Smoke and Mirrors, story number 2. And this week, it's called Managing the Talent. And I'm not convinced that this title isn't somewhat misleading. I'm not actually convinced, despite my 40 years of working in this industry, that you can actually manage creative talent. What I do know though is the hours are really long, the work is really hard, financially it's very unrewarding, no one is ever going to say thank you. If you're doing your job well, no one knows you're doing it, and it's only when you do your job badly that you come into the limelight. CBS executive Walter Yetnikoff, in his 2005 autobiography, Howling at the Moon, made quite an accurate description of what he thought an artist manager should be. He says, and I quote, "They should be a cross between a rabbi, a priest, a guru, a banker, financial advisor, friend, psychotherapist, marriage guidance counsellor, sex counsellor, business partner, and a..." So you want to work in the music industry, do you? Well, a career in the music industry, and in particular in artist and career management, is never going to be a mainstream choice. In fact, I don't think you'll ever see a job advert anywhere for artist manager, salary huge, perks loads, apply here, no experience necessary. What I can tell you is it's a wonderfully rewarding, noble profession that requires creativity, skill, and a cognitive approach. Way back in 1991, I solo managed my first band, OPIC, a bunch of art students from Hull. I'd enrolled in a documentary filmmaking degree in an art college, and within a few days I'd connected with these guys. I met them on the third day of the degree. I shot my mouth off about my 14 years of experience in the music industry, and very quickly I was managing the band. Most amazingly, we'd signed an international recording deal with BMG Uber Cool Imprint Deconstruction Records. Overnight, we were given money, we became the label mates of Kylie Minogue and The Grid and other notable BMG stablemates. We bought 2 rundown Victorian houses in Hull. This was less like a business, it was more like a creative arts freeform forum. We lived in the houses, we put a recording studio across the top floors, we knocked the garden walls down and had one big communal area. We drank, we lived, there were feral children, partners, wives, girlfriends, even the drug dealer moved in at some point. This was fun. This wasn't like working. People used to ring me up and say, "Hey, you manage that cool band?" And I'd smile and go, "Yes, I do." At the opposite end of the spectrum, I once managed a Brit Award solo winning award artist.
So now we're moving on to our next award, which is the best solo male artist.
For the books is Mr. Cool himself. Finley's a lovable rogue. His family originate from Ghana. There's now a huge extended Quail family in Edinburgh, London and Manchester. He slayed him at Glastonbury last year with his cool, soulful combination of rock, soul and reggae. A brand new name, Best Man, Finley Quayle.
This consisted of late nights, not much sleep, every single penny was well and truly earned. This was like climbing a mountain one-legged with an elephant on your back while riding a tricycle through a snowstorm. Every single moment was hard work. The first record, Maverick A Strike, did very, very well. We sold millions of units very, very quickly. And that's where the problem started. On the road to making the second record, behaviours became erratic, drugs, alcohol, bad behaviour, domestic violence, various run-ins with the law, none of which was very clever behaviour came into play. This was seriously hard work all of the time. It got to such a bad point that I convened a 3-in-a-room meeting at Sony's headquarters in Great Marlborough Street. I even put a tie and a shirt on. We brought the artist in, sat him down and had a long conversation about his behaviour and behaviour modification and what steps needed to be taken. There was lots of crying, hugging, promises of change of behaviour, very sincere apologies for past behaviours, all on his behalf, not mine, I must add. At this point we came to an agreement. From here on in, behaviours would change and we would work hard and treat this with the utmost respect that it needed. 2 days later, we were booked into Air Studios at Lyndhurst Hall in North London to start work on the second album. One of my favourite record producers was hired for the job, John Leckie. We loved the work he'd done with the Stone Roses. And I was quite fearful that we could actually get this album made. Interestingly enough, on the day of the first day of the recording, I turned up and I was early. And a few minutes after I walked into the room, Finlay turned up looking very fit and healthy and sober on a mountain bike with a backpack in his little cycling shorts and ready for work. He came in very politely to the control room, said hello to me and John Leckie and asked whether he could just store his backpack under the mixing console while he went into the recording studio to work on his vocal warm-ups, which I was amazed at. Anyway, while we were sitting at the mixing desk over the next 30 minutes getting ready for the first recording session as the musicians were arriving, I suddenly started to feel not myself. I was very heady, slightly sick feeling, and I couldn't stop laughing, uncontrollable bouts of laughter. And every time I looked at John and the tape op and various other musicians around, they were all the same way. After 30 minutes, this was getting to be beyond a joke and we couldn't work out what was going on. At that point, we could hear a hissing sound coming from under the recording console. It was there that I looked into Finlay's backpack and found a bottle of nitrous oxide, laughing gas, which had been opened on purpose and had in effect gassed the whole studio. Fire alarms were sounded and full evacuation procedure was put into place as we all left the building. I had to make that call to my boss back in Sony that the recording session was cancelled due to the deployment of nitrous oxide and effectively gassing everybody in the room. It wasn't big and it wasn't clever. It was too hard. Too many sleepless nights, too much hard work. To me, a good business decision is knowing when to quit. And that was my time to quit and walk away from that one.
Sun is shining, the weather is sweet, yeah. Boy, makes you wanna move those dancing feet.
I would highly recommend getting into artist management. It can be fun, you're not going to make a lot of money, and you don't necessarily need any qualifications. In the often repeated words of Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis Presley's manager, he used to say, "I'm Elvis's manager because he says I am and because I say I am." Looking forward to seeing you in Smoke and Mirrors number 3. Let me know who or what you'd like to hear about. Thank you.
War is explosive, you got to demonstrate, you got to demonstrate. Don't fight, 'cause the sun is shining.